Good evening. Welcome to a special edition of the International Grapevine. This is your host, Wallingford Lee. Tonight on the International Grapevine, we want to talk about the mayor run that's taking place in New York, the amount of people that's involved, but more importantly, we want to concentrate a little bit on Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo used to be the governor in New York and had done a wonderful job, but quite a few things have changed and he's no longer the governor. So tonight on the Grapevine, we want to concentrate on who's going to win for mayor to run and what it takes to be the mayor of New York City. And more importantly, we want to find out whether Andrew Cuomo has the capacity today to run for mayor and to win. But it gives us a great deal of satisfaction to have our guest in the program, who's Jaime Estades, who happens to be an attorney and also a professor. And we want to take this opportunity to thank him for being our guest. Jaime, welcome to our program.
It's always a pleasure to be with you guys here in this show.
Good. Andrew, as you might know by now, as a New Yorker who's been in New York for a long time and live here, that Andrew Cuomo is running for mayor. And what do you think the possibility of running for mayor and the possibility of him making a comeback? Is it humanly possible that he could make a comeback after all the various problems that he had as the governor?
Well, the number one thing in electoral politics is name recognition. That's very important. If you have 5 candidates that are new to the political arena, to the electoral arena, well, that's fair. Everybody has to make sure that people remember their names. But in this case, it's different. Andrew Cuomo has name recognition, which is a plus for him as he runs for office. Not only he has name recognition, he has a record, which can be positive, it can be negative. Also, he comes from a family. His father was governor of the state of New York, very successfully for many terms. So he has this heritage, this political heritage that helps him. However, he have been basically, he was found guilty of, if I still remember well, about allegations that were made against him in terms of sexual assault. And that's an issue. To return after that, after so many years, is also a negative. So I'm trying to balance the positive and the negatives at the same time. And now he's facing a group of candidates who are way younger than him. And that also can be a positive and also can be a negative. It can be a positive for him that he can say that they don't have experience, but it can be positive for the candidates because they bring new ideas.
Hello, I'm Andrew Cuomo. Let me start by telling you what you already know. New York City is the greatest city in the world. There is no other place like it. And as in life, we have had times when we are at our shining best. And there are times when we struggle and endure great hardship. But we also know that we can handle a crisis because we have. We recently did it together through COVID. And we know that the first step towards solving a problem is having the strength, having the courage to recognize it.
We could not allow Andrew Cuomo to just cakewalk into Gracie Mansion. And I think a lot about what has happened leading up to this political moment. Because going here into this moment, when I think about our current leadership, this race is not just symbolic about the future of New York City.
Andrew was a governor in upstate New York and did a good job. very strong, very stern, knew the business. Unfortunately, he ran into some problems. And because of these problems, whatever that might have been, I won't get into it right now, he was forced to resign, which was very painful for him, for his family. And as you mentioned, his father passed away, but his father was a good politician in New York for many years. Obviously, Andrew is strong. He's trying to make a comeback. I think it's very difficult. You mentioned a couple of guys that are very, very young, and they're pretty good. Matter of fact, and these guys are running right now. Andrew's up in the lead. He's leading them, I think, by 35, and I think the other fellow has 18 or 19. What is 11 guys are on the table, and right now Andrew's ahead. The thing that I want to express: do you think he has the possibility of making a strong comeback after the issues that he had behind him, or is it going to be just look upon as the guy that was a real tough hombre as a governor of New York? Can he make a comeback in reality?
Well, the numbers already says are are saying that he is making a comeback. The fact that he's ahead, even with a 35%, which is not high, but taking in consideration that the other 65% is divided among other candidates, and he has the advantage just by having 35%, that means that he has an ability to win this election based on the fact that the rest of the pie, the 65% of voters, is being divided among the other candidates. So that means the more people running, the better for Cuomo, because he has a 35% of voters that are going to stick with him at this point, doesn't matter what. Now, let's say that a candidate, one of the other candidates or two of the other candidates leave. I don't think, in my opinion, that those that leave, their voters are going to go with those that remain, but not for Cuomo. I think that that will happen if two or three candidates leave, which will help the second candidate at this point, because he will increase the number of voters. So this is a matter of math. This is a matter of mathematics. I think that his 35%, if other candidates leave, may increase to a 40% or 45%. It still is not the majority of the vote. But let's say that is three candidates at the end. They have to divide that pie in three. And he may have an opportunity still of winning. But the best survey is election day. And there is a lot of talk about, I'm sorry that I forgot his name, Odoman, the guy, the progressive guy.
So Paul Mandini.
Yeah, Mandini.
Right.
I think that there is a lot of talk on the streets, and I think that a lot of people are seeing him, especially young voters in New York City, which young voters always surprise you in every election. Sometimes the statistics say that they are not going to come to vote, and they come in big numbers. Sometimes they say they're coming to vote, and they don't come out to vote. So, it's like the joke is that young voters always leave you waiting at the altar, you know? But there is a possibility. I think that young voters in the United States in general are more energized than before. So that is a question mark that can help Amani. So that's where we are. But I think that this is going to be between Amani and Cuomo. And it will depend a lot on the campaign of those who are running against Cuomo in this election. And it, it will be in terms of the messaging that they're going to be using. Women are not going with Cuomo because of the the
Allegations?
fact that he went to, he lost the governorship because of his sexual abuse and all that. The number one vote, people don't know this. The number one vote in the United States in general are women. And I think that New York is a reflection of that. I haven't checked the statistic lately, but I think that you're going to have a big portion of women voting. And like I said before, the real survey is the day of election. So let's see what happens.
I agree with you that there are a couple of people, young guys, who might be able to make the difference. On the other hand, you mentioned women. That's a very sensitive thing, and it could go against him because of what happened to him in the past. That supposedly so-called harassment. I can think of all of them that are running against him. I can think about Adams, but he's an independent, and we'll get into that afterward. And I can think about Zoran Mandini and Brad Lander. Brad Lander is a guy that's been in New York for a long time. Matter of fact, he has a powerful position, which escaped my mind right now. In terms of Mandini and Cuomo has locked, boom, like two bulls. Manzini mentioned the sexual harassment issues. He mentioned the also irresponsible behavior of uh, of Cuomo, why this happened. I would not get into that because I don't know all the particulars. Mandani seemed like a very young guy, aggressive, and he brought some ideas to the table. However, Cuomo sees as a person who is extremely inexperienced for this type of position, whether that is so or not. But we know for a fact in the debate, Mandani has given him a hard time, and so has Brad Lander. Matter of fact, that every attack that Mandani has made, it has to do with him losing his job and what have you. I'm not sure what Mandani brings to the table, even though he has quite a few followers, but Cuomo is still ahead. I still think, as you mentioned, women might make a difference. And I think the 24th of this month, I think is the last thing that is going to against one another. So the 24th is going to be a big thing, and that's why we're trying to get this thing as quick as possible because we're touching a lot of things. What do you know about Mandini? Do you know anything
Well,
about
I
him?
know that he's a progressive, very progressive individual. Some people say that he's a socialist. I think that he doesn't have a problem with that. I don't think that the word socialist in New York is what is reflecting other states. I think that New York is very amenable to the word socialist. New York is a very well educated city. It's a very well educated electorate. And for example, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, all those things are socialist programs. There is nothing bad with the word socialism. And I'm not advocating for any ideology. I'm just trying to explain that the United States has been part of socialism for more than a century. You know, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and all these things. That's what we call socialism. That, by the way, is not paid by the rich. It's paid by the taxes that we all pay. But there are services that apply to everybody. That is socialism. And that's what this guy basically uh, promotes. The Democratic Party has always run on those things without mentioning the word socialism. But that's what the Democratic Party has always run on. The Republicans, they want to, since they are more conservative, and some of them moving towards what is called fascism, especially when we talk about the presidential uh, spectrum, they want to eliminate those programs that people pay for. So I think Cuomo is for that. Adamani is for that, and all the other candidates are for that. So if you want to accuse them all of socialists, then don't accuse Adami only. Everybody's a socialist in the Democratic Party. You know, it's just that he openly says that. And New York is very, like I said at the beginning, the electorate is very educated, and they are not going to be afraid. Some will, but not everybody, especially the young vote in New York. That I think they will go with Adami because they want someone new, someone progressive. That's where we are in the United States now. We want an answer to what is happening nationally, and they don't want someone that he was found, guilty of sexual abuse and that now is want to return. 35% is not much to win an election. He has to borrow from the others, and the others have to borrow from that 35%. So I don't think that at this point we can say that we have a secure someone that is clearly in the lead. Louder and the others, they're going nowhere. They are basically are going to be the spoilers for either Cuomo or for Adami. But the others, they don't have a record. They don't even know the name. Most people don't even know the name. They don't know what they have done. So I think that this is a race between Adamini and Cuomo at the end of the day.
I back you up with that, but we also have to put this other guy, Brad Lander, also. He's been around a long
I'm
time.
sorry, Brad Lander. I can say
Yeah.
louder.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest questions that both of them came up with, whether Cuomo would be a mayor for the people. And what they meant by is housing, job, insurance, and stuff like that. And it's my understanding that when Brad went after him, it was about housing, and Andrew kind of backstepped. I wasn't there, but a couple of people told me, look, Andrew's a good guy. He fought like hell with the higher up, and he's not afraid of anyone. But how he's going to react of something because he was in a bigger wheel as a governor, and now he's trying to make a comeback as a mayor. And I guess he's been tested by these two guys, and he's also been tested by people, men and women that you have just mentioned, that is part of this beautiful New York City. And I would like to know what do you think his reaction might be by this attack from Lander and also from Manzini? Because I mean, they came out duking it out directly at him. Do you think he can recover from this and bring something bigger to the table?
Well, this is typical in elections. When you are ahead in the polls, all the other candidates are going after you if you're ahead. That's typical in every election. Everybody goes after the one that is ahead. I think that these attacks are not new. People already know him. My concern is more the election itself. Remember that in New York, it's not like it used to be before that you voted for one candidate and that was it. Now you can vote for two and three candidates in order of preference. And I think that that element is going to decide the election. Is how many people put Cuomo, if they don't select him as number one for mayor, they may select as their second option instead of the first option. And how many Adamini will get for a second option if people don't get him for a first option. Also, there is a third option. And I think that the fight is going to be in how many people select Cuomo as a second option and Adami for a second option two. They say that Adami wins that second option. He may have an opportunity because also he's going to get definitely more votes than the others. That is not Cuomo for first. So this is a matter of mathematics. But at the end of the day, regardless of the structure of how you decide who the winner is, it's about who put the best message out there. And I think that Cuomo, the only thing that he brings is the experience and nothing else. This is experience versus inexperience. But I think that the youth vote, depending on the turnout of the youth vote, that will help Adamini of winning these elections. This is Cuomo and Adamini. I don't think that the others have any chance whatsoever of winning. If anything, there are spoilers. Don't be surprised if one of them get out of the race and endorse Cuomo or endorse Adamini, and that will be a big change, in the campaign. So I think it's open. It's not decided.
I agree with you. There's 11 of them out there, but we know for a fact, as you mentioned, I'll mention the same thing. It's going to be between Andrew, Mandini, and Brad. I think those three is going to make a difference one way or the other. And whoever's better prepared and whoever knows what he's talking about and has a plan could be the winner. But we must not forget Adams. Adams was a Democrat and he went the other side. What picture does he play? Does he have an opportunity to come back as mayor, or you think he's on the way out?
Adams, let me go straight to the point. Adams committed political suicide. He's not going to win this election in any way, shape, or form. He's not winning it. There is no way that he's going to win it. This is a Democratic town, okay? This is a Democratic primary. You cannot sell your soul to the devil and pretend to win this election. You cannot go with Trump in New York and think that you're going to win this election. Even the black vote, a big percentage of the black vote in this city are very upset with Adams, and I'm not going to vote for Adams because what he did was a betrayal of all of us when he went just to keep his seat. That was very selfish. It's not so much that it was a political electoral move. It's just that he did it to save his ass, to talk plainly. Okay? So he's not going to win, and he's not going to get as many votes as he thinks that in a Democratic primary. Maybe maybe he runs. Maybe the plan is that he's going to lose the primaries and then he's going to run as independent.
Well, I think he's going in as an independent. That's my understanding. He's no longer a Democrat. He's going to run as an independent. Does he have a chance at all?
No, no way. I told you the analysis in terms of the African American vote. Look, I live in East Harlem. I have a lot of friends for a long time. It's not because I live in East Harlem. It's just because for a long time I have worked in politics, in electoral politics, etc. There is no way that the majority of the black vote is going to go with Adams after what he did. Everybody feels that was a betrayal. With Trump, a racist Trump, misogynist Trump. Come on. People have pride. People of color have pride. You, me. We have pride. We don't sell out.
Well, we'll see. Let's go back to one thing. Mandini claims that Cuomo has experience, but his leadership is extremely weak because of all the problems that he put himself in. Mandini insists because of those problems, he will grow above and not Cuomo on the side. Is that logical? Because Cuomo has a good name. Might have had a little problem here or there, but I still feel that under right circumstance, Cuomo could make a strong comeback. You think that Mandini is right?
I I think that Cuomo has a chance of winning. Like I said before, he's the number one right now. The issue is in terms of how the votes are counted, like I said before, the second and thirds, etc. I think that he's going to get a good number of number one votes, and I think that he's going to get a greater number than Cuomo on the second option. That's me. Uh, and then when those numbers are put together, then we need to see, because this is not like before that, it's whoever gains the more votes is the one that wins the election. So I'm not a computer, so I cannot computerize that. But I believe that it's going to be a close election, and depends on how the campaign is run during the Mandini's campaign is run during the last few days. I think that I will go 100% attacking Cuomo on all this issue, and basically in terms of the issue of the sexual assault, uh, and is this what we want for mayor of the city of New York? That will be the first time that someone that he was convicted already is going to be the mayor of the city of New York. I think that the women is extremely important vote. It's the number one vote, and I don't see women voting for him. So I think it's going to be very close for Cuomo. The issue is how the other two candidates take votes from Mandini, and how many of them take votes from Cuomo. But I think this is a Mandini Cuomo race.
I tend to agree with you, but I want to add one more thing to it, then you touch on it. New York City is a very prestigious place and a tough place. Okay? In New York, you got to have it for real. If not, you're not going to make it. And to back up that, we can think about what is happening to Adams right now. We can think a little bit that Cuomo might be able to make a comeback. But there's something haunting him a little bit, what he left behind. So I don't think Adams is going to be in plate anymore, because I think it's just very muddy. I think, as you mentioned, it's going to be between Cuomo and Mandini. And I think the 24th of this month is going to be a war between both of them. But I got one more I want to throw to you. How will Andrew Cuomo address public safety and affordability in New York City if elected mayor, considering there are key issues in this city today that needs fixing, such as?
Well, housing is very important in New York City.
That's one
Extremely
of the things that
important.
Mancini attacked him on, the housing, but go ahead.
Yeah. So that is extremely important. One of the plans of Project 2025 is to stop subsidizing public housing.
Okay.
New York City has the largest concentration in the United States of public housing, the largest. There are hundreds of thousands of votes right there of people that the only thing that they are thinking right now is about whether I'm going to keep this apartment. I'm going to be able to pay for this apartment without the aid that I was receiving from the federal government to help me pay the apartment. By the way, what we call the projects in New York, that's public housing, and that was created by the Democratic Party at the end of the 1950s, 1960s, and then it stopped in 1970s. So the largest concentration is in New York. Therefore, that's the vote. I haven't heard much about what the city is going to do to replace those monies coming from the federal government, because they are going to stop
Yes, they
very
are.
soon. Okay? So, what is the offer? What are the candidates saying about that? I haven't heard much, because someone has to help these people. There is going to be the number of homeless people in the city of New York is going it's not going to duplicate. It's going to triplicate. You're going to have more homeless people. You're going to have more children on the streets, families, mothers on the streets. Because if they lose that, you think that they're going to be able to afford a $5,000 apartment monthly?
No,
Four
not at
thousand,
all.
let's say 4,000. Let's make it lower, 3,000, which is so difficult to, you're not going to find that. They won't be able to do that. So we're talking about thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, dozens of thousands of people. We're going to be homeless very soon, maybe by January 2026. Okay? This is what is coming. I will put that in the equation right now.
So you're
I would
basically
like
saying
to
to me the homeless situation
I would
is
like
still
to be in
there.
a program asking them what are you going to do about that.
Exactly,
And
the
don't tell
homeless
me that you're
situation
going to
is
put
serious.
money. Don't tell me that you're going to put money. Tell me what is the plan? Where are you going to get the money for that? Okay, that's what I want Cuomo to answer, Mandini, all of them. Forget about all these secondary issues and all that. That's an issue. And they keep it low. They haven't brought it up like the number one issue. They're talking about education and all this. But to me, that's the number one issue that we are going to be confronting in this city because that has side effects.
Do
People
you
homeless side effects.
do you think any one of these guys I'm running for mayor has a plan for the homeless situation? Do you
I
think
don't know. I
one
don't
of
think
them?
so. I haven't heard anything that convinced me that they have a good plan or a plan.
So it's still dancing out in the winds. It's still dancing out. There's no response.
Look, it's unpayable. When that happens, when that takes place, it's going to be so much money that the state and the city has to put that is going to affect the budget of the city of New York and it's going to affect the budget of the state of New York. And it's not only New York, it's going to be public housing throughout the whole state. And you know what they do? Okay, we're going to work with the governor. So let's throw the ball to the governor. We're going to work with the governor, and the governor said, no, take that ball back.
It's
You know,
serious. It's very
we're
serious.
going to be in bankruptcy. You see, states cannot print money. Most of the money that comes, especially for housing, comes from the federal government. Now you're going to make the city and the state of New York to pay for housing that it was paid by subsidies that came from the federal government. You want to put New York again in bankruptcy? Yeah, that's the question. Ask them what is their plan, and tell them when you ask them that question, don't throw the ball back to the governor. What are you going to do as New York City mayor about that? Where are you going
I
to
think
get the money? Are you going to increase the taxes to everybody at the city level? Because if it's increasing the city, the state is going to increase it too. Doesn't matter what. Taxes are going up.
it's unbelievable. I mean, you touch on a lot of very sensitive, important things that affect us so much as people from New York, what we see in the street, the homelessness, and the situation. As you mentioned that, we have a new governor in upstate New York. I think she is running again also. Where does she stand with these two or three main guys that are running for mayor? Does she have a favorite? Is it Adams? Is it our ex-boss Cuomo? Is it Mandini? Is it Brad?
I really don't know. I cannot read her brain. This is a primary. I think that the safe move for her as a governor is to do what she's doing, remain quiet, and say, I'm going to support the Democratic candidate for mayor after the primaries. Whoever wins, I'm going to support it because I'm a Democrat and I'm going to support the Democrat. Simple. That's what she's going to do. She's not going to uh, pick a candidate in the primaries that may lose, and then someone else loses, and the one that and so and whoever wins the mayor primaries is going to ask her, "Oh, why didn't you endorse me before?" They
But
have to work
she's
together
going to
no
sit back
matter
and
what.
wait and see who wins. She's going to sit back and wait
Yeah,
and see who wins,
I mean
and then
that's the smart
depends.
thing. In
Okay.
elections, look, I don't want to be cynical, but in elections, there is a lot of cynicism that becomes practice, and I think that that's what she's doing. She's just waiting to see who's the winner, and that's it. But then they all had problems. It's not only New York, by the way. This is happening throughout the United States. When public housing, the subsidies for public housing are eliminated, and for repairs and this, there's so much money that comes from HUD. You know, HUD may be eliminated until this so-called president that we have. There is going to be crisis that have repercussions. They these costs that he's doing at the federal level have side effects, and the side effects are grave. You know, where I'm going to fill this gap, how I'm going to get money for this. I'm going to get because there are new things that are coming just
They're
by
coming up.
eliminating HUD.
They're coming up.
That I mean, he said it. He's going to eliminate HUD.
He is.
He said it. It's part of this is he may have changed his mind because every day he says something differently, but he's look, he's on Project 2025. Okay, it's there, it's written. That's the plan that the Heritage Foundation wrote for Trump. They wrote everything that he has to do in his campaign. All he has to do is open Project 2025, pass the pages, and then go to that page, and that's the plan. Because
Let's
they all think like him.
let's see how the government, how the voters
And the
react.
Federalist Society too, but that's
Yeah.
another thing. Yeah.
Well, we got two final questions for you. What lessons are Andrew Cuomo learned from his time as governor, and how would those lessons inform his approach to leadership if he were to return to public office?
Well, I think that both questions go together in one. You know, uh, first he has to behave like a decent man. What he did before wasn't decency. Okay. He needs to remember that he's not a kid anymore. Because when those mistakes that he made, he was even when he was an adult and he was governor, and your father was governor, you should have known better. You should have known better. So that means that you are not that mature. And I hope that he has learned his lesson. I think that he's not he's a Democrat through and through.
Yes, yes, he is.
So I think that it's better to have a Democrat governor than a non-Democrat governor. I think that he did positive things when he was a governor, but he needs to learn from his mistakes. He cannot commit the same mistakes, and he has to be more progressive than he was. If anything, I will bring a minute to the administration to run a couple of social service programs or programs that have to be with economic development in a way that, even when he's not a business person, but in a way that there is more uh, equality in the distribution of, of, of resources and the budget.
Let me just say, I give him credit on one thing. He was man enough to apologize, and he seemed sincere about that. I think
Well,
in
he
a
had to
public
apologize.
office,
It's politics.
But he did apologize. I give him that. As we close out with the last question, because you're a New Yorker, you're a tough man, a guy I like to
I
talk
wish I
to
was tough.
and work with. No, you're a very tough man. As we close the program today, who do you think is the best mayor in New York City I've ever had?
Uh,
I thought I
the
was
one
giving
that
you
in
hard one.
history is to this day revered, and that was before I was born, was Fiorello LaGuardia. And I leave that to historians. I wasn't born then. I wasn't even living here. If I had been born, I was in Puerto Rico. I came here when I was 22. But if history tells us something about the mayoralty in New York, I think is Fiorello LaGuardia. Some historians may have a difference with this. I don't know, but I think that there is some consensus that Fiorello LaGuardia was one of the best, if not the best.
He was tough. He was a very tough man, supposedly, but fair-minded. What about Lindsay?
Yeah, true.
Lindsay.
Yeah, yeah, very progressive. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Well, on that note, I want to take this opportunity, seriously, on behalf of the family of Grapevine, to thank you so much for being our special guest and to bringing all these attention to the voters who are listening to our program, because it's important to them and it's all important to us as New Yorkers. So we hope and pray that the right person win, and that person that, if they win, can carry the load and cover New York and speak for New York, because a lot of bull goes on lately here. You don't know who to trust. So let's hope that we're lucky enough to get the proper guy as mayor who can stand up for the Big Apple.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. And again, this is Wallingford Lee saying goodnight for the International Grapevine, and hope that you had the opportunity to see this program and keep watching us every week or every other week as we continue to bring things about the Big Apple, what it is, why it is, and where we're going. Again, thank you for watching our program, and good night.